It's the Football Prophets. The Football Prophets.
What's up to the FB family? Welcome to a new episode of Football Prophets, where two friends talk all things American soccer. As always, I'm here with Coach David. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing well, Michelle. Ready to talk a little soccer. We got 2 game weeks of MLS to cover. Some coaches coming and going. Foreign Balogun talks. It's going to be a good episode.
Fire all the coaches.
Hey, Peter Vermees still has a job. I don't know how people are getting fired in that match.
I'm trying to get them. If they fire him, they should reach out to you. That's what I'm trying to get them to do. I'll move with you. I'll be the.
I don't think I want to move to SKC.
Bro, the opportunity though.
Kansas is miserable.
It's just the snow or what?
Just middle of nowhere.
I lived in Iowa, so I think I can pull that off.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good without.
So one thing, I'm just going to go ahead and roll into the show here. As you guys know, we just talk about the MLS a little bit. There's something that when you sent me the rundown, you were like, Chicago owned St. Louis. They didn't own him.
So
he was a great, they just won.
I want to hold something up for Michelle here.
Own him.
I want you to look at this really quick, okay?
Is the video you got playing?
So no. That's the Sounders game. I got the Sounders. We're recording this same time. But if you were going on and you looked up Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
You see right here where it says owner Carolyn Kindle. After the Chicago Fire beat St. Louis, someone decided to get a little creative and edited the Wikipedia page and said owner Chicago Fire.
So real?
Yeah.
When did that take place?
That it happened right after the win. It was up there for about 24 hours.
Oh,
I took a screenshot of it.
You have it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you send it to me and we'll put it on the video. I didn't know that.
But in back-to-back wins against St. Louis for Chicago Fire. Chicago Fire, not a great team. So they won in the Open Cup and in league play, and it was literally like 4 days apart from each other.
Yeah.
This is one that MLS tried to hype up as a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Which it just isn't.
Doesn't really.
But it's something MLS really wants, and they did some really cringe videos of supporters talking about how good they are and how they're going to beat the other team. And you're just
like, talking about Chicago.
Chicago was cringe, right?
St. Louis has more. Sorry, I cut you off there. But St. Louis is doing way better this year than Chicago.
I mean, St. Louis is in a tough spot now. They got a good start to the season, which will hold them for a while. But they're in a tough spot. They're not doing too well, and that's evident to losing twice in 7 days to Chicago Fire.
What's their? Do you have? I didn't look, but do you have any idea about their calendar coming up? Do they have easy team, or are they gonna be?
There's no such thing as an easy calendar in MLS because it's so even for the most part.
Yeah.
No matter who you play on any given day, they're good. Right? Like not that long ago, the Sounders, one of the best teams in the league, got beat by SKC, one of the worst teams in the league. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can never predict. Like if you're a gambler, do not bet on MLS. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's not the Premier League. It's not where you can just put your money on Man City and know you're safe 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like. It's tricky.
Yeah, they did it today, by the way. Man City?
Yeah.
Put your money on them. Don't put it on Seattle because you're going to lose.
No. Seattle's almost as safe of a bet as you could ever make in MLS. Like, there's a few teams that are the safest. Seattle's in that tier, right? LAFC is in that tier, right? Like,
okay.
There's a couple teams that are close, but you never know.
So let me ask you this, as I'm trying to help us move on a little bit. Who do you think we're gonna see back in succeeding form the soonest? Is it gonna be Josef Martinez, or is it gonna be the Chicago Fires?
Who is going to be back in form?
Yeah, like back to like, oh, this is a good team or this is a good player. I know it's not a good comparison, but it's just my head went to the.
the money is on Josef here, right? Because he's had what, a 2-year-long slump,
Yeah.
whereas Chicago Fire have had a 15-year-long slump since they were good.
So you go on Josef.
Yeah,
It looks like he's putting some with what happened with Atlanta. I think like playing Atlanta jump started them a little bit.
yeah. So he scored in back-to-back games. This game on match day 11, I think it was 13. What number are we on? Third. Go back to the rundown for me, Michelle.
Oh, it should be on the run now. About 12.
All right, game week 12. Sorry, we have 2 game weeks. I'm getting mixed up all over the place. But
Doing 12 and 13.
in game week 12, they played New England Revolution, who are a good team. They're one of the best teams in the league so far. And Josef put the ball in the net again, right? Like, it was the game winner again. This is goal 101 of his career. Again, we spoke about his breakthrough, his record-breaking goals last game when he played Atlanta.
Yeah.
He has now scored in back-to-back games. It's been over a year since he scored in back-to-back games, right? Like, this is a good sign. Now, he didn't score in game week 13, which is the game week that's happening now as we are talking. His team lost.
Yeah.
But
To a good
still,
team.
he has scored 3 goals in his last 3 games. It's not bad. It's not bad. So I would not be surprised if Josef all of a sudden hits a comeback and gets that 15-plus goal season.
Okay. Really, the reason that question, I just wanted to get you talking about him. I have never been a fan or believe that he is ever going to hit that level again. But I'm willing to see some sort of comeback because he has the tools to make it happen. I always forget his teammate's name, the dude with the long hair that plays Pizarro. He has Pizarro, man. I cannot wait for that connection to finally start paying dividends. But because you can see that they can be good.
Pizarro actually got benched most recently, but Phil Neville has a habit of benching players, good players that just aren't in form, and then they all of a sudden hit form, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Pizarro ends up getting back into the lineup here soon. Josef stays in the lineup, and they just start cruising. I would not be surprised.
Didn't they also kind of bench Josef?
I mean, it was a game? It's kind of, that's it, like one game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say benched him, but no, I think he has a good chance at recovering the season and being one of the top 5 goal scorers in the league. I wouldn't put it past him in this Inter Miami team. There's enough creativity in this team as well. DeAndre Yedlin coming up the wing from defender. I could see him getting some assists into Josef. I could see it working out.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Sandy's being...
Yeah, do you want to put it on pause for 10 seconds while...
Yeah, just take care of it and we'll be right back. All right, cool. So we're back here after Sandy took us away.
Sorry about that. Sandy, she refuses to go into the kitchen. I don't know why, but her ball found its way into the kitchen, and she was making it known that I had to go get her ball.
Yeah, so we had to stop for a little bit there. But okay, let's move on to Meram. So I always like how you have things put here. So you say he makes it easy against his old club. Talk to me about that.
So Justin Meram, he is a decent MLS player. Nothing great, nothing special.
Yeah.
A decent wide midfield player. Yeah. Right? You've seen him bounce around to multiple teams. And his career was in a bad place a couple years ago when he went to Atlanta United. He didn't stay at Atlanta long, but he decided, or he feels as if Atlanta was the club and fan base that got behind him, supported him, and kind of helped revitalize his career.
Yeah.
Right? And then from Atlanta, he went to RSL, did very good at RSL. And then a couple weeks ago, RSL does a trade with him and for Cincy, who's a younger wing player who has a lot of upside but isn't as proven. And now Meram, all of a sudden, he's an older veteran. He has to uproot his family, move from RSL to Charlotte, right? Now he gets into the lineup for Charlotte, and he scores 2 goals against Atlanta. Now, for Atlanta, they must be kicking themselves right now because this is back-to-back weeks where a former attacking player has scored 2 goals on them for the win, right? Like, I don't know if that's...
Oh, yeah, because Josef.
Josef did it 2 weeks ago, and then Meram last week. That's a concerning pattern, right? Like,
stop.
At some
point,
yeah, at some point they're going to run out of players that they've sold that can score against them, so it probably won't continue too long. In fact, it didn't continue into game week 13, but it was a weird random pattern. But Justin Meram, he did the classic "I will not celebrate" against my old team, which Josef did not do. Josef celebrated harder. Right? Like, that man celebrated, and then he talked it back later in interviews. But Justin Meram refused to celebrate, and he didn't just not celebrate. He apologized to the fans. He put his hands together, kind of was like, I'm sorry. Twice. He did it for both of his goals. This is a man that couldn't buy a goal for the last year. He scores 2, and he refuses to celebrate. Says a lot about his character. After the game, he also just didn't speak about it at all in the press conference. Like, he downplayed it a lot. Just 2 very different mindsets there of players scoring against their old teams, Josef and Meram. But personally, I think Meram took it a bit too far. It's one thing not to celebrate, but to apologize for scoring for the team you play for. Come on, man. If I was a Charlotte fan, I'd be borderline mad at him.
Gotta respect.
I want to see my man celebrate, right? I want to see my players get pumped for scoring for me, not apologizing for scoring for my squad.
I'm sorry.
Right? Like, I'm not here for that. I'm much more on the Josef train.
Yeah, it's just I think
celebrate for the team that pays you to score goals.
Yeah,
right. Like,
I think we're both on the same page on that. No fight backs for me at all on that. Definitely agree with you on that. So Atlanta, I don't know what you're doing. Stop kicking your players away. Like, stop giving them away. Just keep them all. Just keep them until they retire. And I don't know. All right.
Actually, I don't know why that prompted me, but just talking about players retiring. I know we cover American soccer, but you brought up Man City earlier. You know, a player hasn't retired from Man City in over 10 years since I think it was Toure was the last person.
Oh, they ship him out before?
Like, not a single. Yeah, they get rid of him right at their end of their prime to make money off him. They haven't had a single player retire because
Aguero sailed.
Aguero went to Barca. Like, isn't that insane? 10 years.
Gotta. I didn't even think about that.
That's wild.
That is a fun stat. But all right. So moving on here, one of the things I wanted to cover was the team that you think is just garbage. Well, not you think, we know it's garbage. SKC. First of all, how do you feel about getting beat by SKC with Seattle? How do you feel about it? That? Has to be embarrassing.
Well, first of all, they're apparently the best team in the league.
They're not.
They didn't just beat Seattle. They then went on to beat a defensively good Minnesota team.
I want to say
3-0.
I want to say something. I see what you're doing, but it's not good.
Do you want me to pull up the LA Galaxy scores?
It's not about that.
How'd that go?
That's not what it's about. Let me help you with some life advice. Sometimes things are going to happen to you, and you do not have to look around and try to make other people feel bad. It's okay. Just enjoy and live in the fact that this sucks for you for a second.
So answer me this.
Yeah.
How is that different than you, who is currently going through a bad situation with LA Galaxy constantly in 2 back-to-back episodes where the Sounders didn't play yet in this month, bringing up the Sounders' one bad loss of the game? Man, it's okay. Just sit through your pain. You don't have to try to make other people feel bad. It's okay that your team's struggling. You don't got to try to bring down other good teams just because your team's bad. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay, Michelle.
So you use my own advice against me?
Yeah, it's okay, Michelle.
All right, it's okay, I guess. But I guess you one of the crazy people that think that SKC is magically good now.
I don't. But that's 2 impressive wins there, right? Like, yes, they were both at home, so it's not as impressive.
Yeah.
But 2 good wins against 2 good teams for a bad team, that's something that could potentially, at the end of the season, that's 6 points, right? That you don't expect them to get. That's something that, if they do make a push, you might see them sneak into the playoffs with 9 of the 14 Western Conference teams making playoffs. There's a chance that we look at the end of this season at this early point and be like, those 2 games, that got them in the playoffs. There's a very good chance. So well on for them, or well done to them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that probably saved Peter Vermees's job, right? Like, he's not going to get fired after those 2 wins right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna take much more and a much longer run of bad form.
Okay. Do you think those coaches that coach professionally worry about the thing we worry about once they lose their job? Like, how am I going to pay my bills?
No, because so here's the thing though, right? They don't just not get paid. For them to get fired mid-season, their contracts are guaranteed.
Yeah.
So the team still has to pay them all the money that they're owed up until the end. They just have to pay them up front. So they just get a massive paycheck. And they're like, all right, let me take a month off. I'll get another job. And now I'm getting 2 different incomes coming at the same time. They make more money when they get fired.
So I knew that. So when it comes to contracts, I'm more in tune with like the NFL. I didn't really know a lot about MLS contract, and I find out that it's the same way with coaching. That's kind of why I brought it up that way. But that was fascinating to me, man.
Yeah.
So all the coach that got fired that we're gonna go over, they just got paid to go home.
As long as you can get another job, right? As long as this firing doesn't end your career, and you can get a decent level job, you're almost better off getting fired as far as financially is concerned.
Yeah, but aren't you almost like, when you have like the years and have coached professionally for a few years, aren't you almost like 60% always guaranteed a spot though?
Somewhere. I mean, it might be a big step down, right?
Yeah, but still kind of like a lower team can
like
probably.
Peter Vermees runs SKC, right? Like, he has multiple different titles. He is also their GM.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if he does fail here horribly and go, he probably won't be offered the GM coaching combo. He'll probably just be offered a coaching job, and that would be a pay decrease. And it probably wouldn't be a failing upward type of scenario. When he gets to a good team, he'll have to go back to probably Chicago. Right?
Yeah.
So for him, this would be a tough one, but he is a very well-respected coach around the league. He has done incredible things with this team. He'll be okay, and I think if he does go to a different team at some point in his career, he will turn them into a good team.
Yeah.
So I have faith in his career moving forward.
Yeah, you just gotta be able to motivate yourself.
If he wants it. He's also, I mean, he'd be
like
great.
90.
I mean, he's on 90, but he'd be great for punditry. Like, he would be a good one to be on TV. So I could see him going into that broad
Apple TV.
Yeah,
get him hooked up. But all right, so one of the things. So I was looking at the games, right? There's about 13 games that played on Saturdays. Only 6 of them didn't have a red card. What happened?
Yeah, so 9 red cards in those 13 games. So that is the most ever red cards in a single day for MLS in history, right? Now, part of that is because MLS, until this season, hasn't really stacked all their games to one day, right? They've had it spread across 2, maybe even 3 different days. Yeah. They've had really weird scheduling. So part of that is there's more games on one day to get more red cards, but 9 red cards in 13 games.
What are the chances that there were 8 and one of the refs were like, what? Well, first of all, what was the previous record? Do you know that?
I have no idea.
I was like, one of them probably knew it. Like, you know what? We're just going to shatter this record.
But the red cards were like just people wanting to get red cards. Like, some of there was a fight at the end, and a guy picked up another guy. Barrios picked someone up and just threw him to the ground. Actually, I think Barrios was the one that got thrown to the ground, right? But like, it was just stupid stuff that of course you're getting a red card for this.
What you mean?
Tackles coming in studs up on players' knees. Of course you're getting red. Not a single one of the red cards I saw was questionable, except for one that was a double yellow.
Yeah.
But they
kind of want to.
They were all really deserved red cards.
So let's not blame the rest.
It's insane. It was insane. Fun, but insane.
Yeah.
Austin got 2 red cards. Or not Austin. Houston got 2 red cards against Seattle. And now we saw that this game week, them not having Hector Herrera, their most important player, right? Like, and it affected them big time. So, yeah, stupid, but it does make the games entertaining, and it does allow opportunities where a good team now doesn't have their best player or two, and they go up against a team that they should whoop on, and now you get upsets. It makes MLS fun, so I'm here for it.
Yeah.
More fights, the better.
Yeah, let's keep getting the red cards. All right, that's all. Bring maybe you should bring you know what, as I was watching those red cards, I was like, you know what would be cool if Sergio Ramos like doesn't want to play for PSG and come in the MLS next season.
Sergio Ramos would not like play a game. He'd get so many cards. Because this is a physical league. Like, people don't know this, but MLS is one of the most physical.
That is why my mind went to it.
So if he comes into a league being the player he is, sees that like, oh, I can be more physical than I've been in my entire career. I can be more aggressive, and he's just like set free. This man, like, we're not gonna have red cards. They're gonna get a new color of card. Like,
change the game.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about purple cards coming in here.
He's gonna go. This is his chance to go down in history. This is the player that changed the game.
Yeah. No. That would be a scary sight, and I don't think it's a sight we'll ever see. I don't think he's going to MLS.
Let's hope so. Let's hope he happens one day. All right, we're gonna take a quick break for our first part. We're gonna be right back and
no, we're not.
First. Yes, we are.
Nah, man, we got the other games from this week.
Oh, we're not. I missed that.
Come on now.
I missed that. That was embarrassing. All right, cool. So
we could edit that out for you, but we're not going to.
We're not just gonna just leave it. Everybody's gonna, you know, like I said, you gotta enjoy the moment you do. Yeah. But looks like Atlanta's back after getting demolished by Josef,
and then Meram. But they put in work against Colorado.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Meram. They got 2 of their players that kicked their butts, and then now they're back on track.
Yeah, so luckily for them, Colorado does not have an attacking player on their roster that used to play for Atlanta, so they're safe there. So they allowed 0 goals, and they scored 4. Thiago Almada, who really hasn't done much since he started the league on fire, he got a goal. Giamakis, GG, their new DP number 9 to replace Josef, he got a goal. Luis Araujo got a goal. Tyler Wolf got a goal. Tyler Wolf is one of 2 sons that play in MLS, sons of the Austin coach. So there are 3 Wolves in MLS. One's a coach and 2 are players.
Talk about a legacy.
Yeah, right? Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so Tyler Wolf, young player, doesn't play a whole lot, getting in and getting a goal in the 87th minute. But this was a close game for as far as 4-0 games go, right? Up until the 80th minute, it was 1-0. And then the 80th minute happens. The 87th minute happens. And then the 90th minute happens. And you're at 4-0. But kind of impressive here by Atlanta. I mean, again, really struggled in their last 2 game weeks. They're going up against a team that in Colorado that isn't a great attacking team, but have been phenomenal defensively, and you put 4 on them, right? That's the type of performance that really kind of changes your mindset and allows you to continue on in your season and be dominant. So I see this as a very good omen for Atlanta United here.
All right, awesome. What is still your your prediction as far as Armada? Do you still think he has a chance to make a comeback for the MVP, or should we put that in the bag and just let him have a good season?
I think you just got to let a young kid have a season full of ups and downs. I think I said it in an earlier episode. There's no way he was going to be consistently as good as he was at his age. But the fact that he can be that good at his age is impressive, right? So now the thing is, with young players, you just got to make it consistent.
Yeah.
And he'll get there, right? Mm-hmm. Might take a year or two, but he will get to a point where he's consistent.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever see a season in which he's the MVP, because I think right before he gets to where he is fully consistent throughout a year, he's going to Europe.
Yeah.
Right? If he stayed his whole career in MLS, we'd probably see a point where this man has won 10 league MVPs back to back to back to back to back, because he will be that good.
Yeah.
But this isn't going to be his year, and I don't think he will ever win MVP, just because he's not going to have the consistency before he gets sold.
Yeah, and then because when he came out, he was crazy, man. He was scoring free kicks every other day.
It was the nicest free kicks I've ever seen in my life in the same game. Like, it was phenomenal. 90 plus 4-minute game winners. Like, it's insane.
He came out the gate. He cannot outdo himself now. He set the bar too high.
Yeah, and it's some of his passing. He first 4 weeks of the season was
insane.
One of the best players I've ever seen in MLS. Like, absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, why should we remember the name Cambridge?
Brandon Cambridge.
Why should we remember that name?
21 years old. He comes into this game, Charlotte versus Chicago. He comes in as a substitute, right? Chicago are leading 1-0. He comes in for Charlotte. He scores his first ever pro goal. Makes it 1-1. Then he scores his second ever pro goal. Makes it 2-1. And Charlotte win. Do you know who the last person to come in as a sub and score an equalizer, then game winner in that game?
I'm going to say this. I know I'm probably wrong, but you can never go wrong with the legend, Donovan.
Nope. None other than Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Ooh, what a company to be in.
Right? When you were there, can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear myself. My mic went out in my ears. But, all right, as long as you can hear me, we are good. None other than Zlatan Ibrahimovic on a stat sheet with you, and you were 21 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the name.
Remember the name.
Like,
I'm sure Zlatan is remembering right now.
Now, Brandon Cambridge probably won't get Young Player of the Year award or anything like that. He's probably a flash in the pan type of goals for him this season. I'm not going to predict him to now score in every game, but all you want from a young player, and he's not the youngest, right? 21, right? He is a homegrown for Charlotte, which is good. You want productive attacking homegrowns in this league, but what you want from a relatively young player is make the most of your opportunities, right? If I have a kid who is on the verge of being on the team, on the verge of starting, and I take him in and he's going to go in at the end of a game, I look at him and I say, hey, this is your moment, right? This is your tryout. Do something with these minutes you get.
Yeah.
Prove to me that you need 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
10 more minutes from there. Then you need a whole half.
Make my life hard.
Right? Yeah. Make me have a decision in the future.
Yeah.
Coming in as a sub and scoring 2 goals, he did everything a coach could want from him, right? He is going to make the next decision hard. Although it probably won't be that he will start next game. He'll probably still come off the bench, but he might be the first sub off the bench, right? He might get a few more minutes, and if he then scores again, or at least looks dangerous again.
Yeah. Do that 4 times, you might earn yourself a nice quality spot.
So, well done to Brandon Cambridge. Deserves all the plaudits in a league with only him and Zlatan in it. No, great stuff for him.
For sure, man. If I was in a stat sheet where it was only my name and Zlatan, I wouldn't go to sleep that night.
Yeah, no, that'd be amazing.
I'll Photoshop so many photos from me and Zlatan just chilling.
Yeah, no, and what I like about him, he's a pretty big frame. He's 6 foot too.
Yeah. He's 6'2"?
No, 6 foot as
well. Oh, okay.
All right, like he's not just a runner that comes in off the bench and has that high energy that you want as a coach. He's a physical presence.
Yeah.
Which is good to see.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, Brandon. Definitely want to hear your name again. But as we kind of reel it back here in Cincy ward, because we are located in Cincinnati, the kids looks like they keep making us proud. Even though, should I make him like my second or third team?
They're my second. Yeah, since I've lived here long enough now, I've bought season tickets.
How long have you been here?
Since 2015.
2015. Okay, you've been here longer than me, so
eight-ish years, something like that.
Yeah. All right. So your second team keeps doing amazing things, still undefeated. And there's a fun stat that you shared with me earlier that might be the key of why they're doing so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, this stat has a couple layers to it. So I'll just go to the most basic layer first here. Undefeated at home this season. Right, like that is good. In MLS, you make your home a fortress.
Yeah,
right. Because, like we talked about earlier, there's so much parity in this league that it is hard to be dominant. So if you can turn your home into a fortress and just simply not lose at home, whether that's not necessarily winning every game but getting ties, right? As long as you can make it very hard for another team to walk away with 3 points at your home over the course of a season, you're going to be in a high playoff spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've gone the first 7 home games of the season undefeated. And they played some decent teams as well along the way. But if you're looking at, they've scored almost as many goals this season at this point as they did last season at this point. And it was a slow start goal scoring wise for them. And they kicked it in. So you can consider this another slow start. And people could be worried, right, that maybe they're just not going to score. But the thing here is last season in 1-goal games, so games in which the difference between the two teams was 1 goal, not just 1 goal scored, but the difference between. So one of the teams beat the other team by 1.
By 1, yeah.
Right? Last season, Cincinnati had 12 of those 1-goal games. They won 6, lost 6. So when the game was tight, they were completely average, 500, right?
Yeah.
They've had 7 1-goal games this season. They have won all 7.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a tight game, they win it, right? That's the difference maker. It's not that we don't have to worry about them scoring. They don't need to score that many goals. Their defense is solid, right? They're not going to let teams win in like so many games last season. We saw FC Cincinnati have the tie, and then in the last 5 minutes of the game, they lost.
Lose it, yeah.
Right? I think they actually set an MLS record for that last season. This season, now if it's tight, they win. Right? And that's the difference from being a decent playoff level team to a shield contending team, right? To be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Right? That's the mindset switch, tactical switch that you want to see in a team to lift trophies.
Yeah.
Right? I'm about 90% sure that FC Cincinnati will lift a trophy this season. I don't know what it will be, but they are that team this year. They're going to win something.
Yeah, definitely agree with you 1,000,000%. And it's been
Oh, and by the way, they scored 3 goals today.
Oh, yeah.
Against Montreal. So for those of you that were worried about their goal output, they are all right.
Yeah, who scored?
Joel Waterman on an own goal, so Montreal player.
Okay.
Started the game 2 minutes in. Lucho Acosta.
Of course.
And then Brandon Vasquez. Your 2 biggest players, right? Stepping up for you. Which is a good sign, right? Like, if we're looking at New York right now, New York City FC, that is.
Yeah.
They're getting goals by committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so many different players are having to step up to score the goal. They can't just rely on one player.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of the season, you really want to be able to rely on one or 2 players that just no matter what, if the game is tough, I am going to get a goal for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when you see those teams that kind of get goals by committee there, they don't go on big streaks, right? They don't win 10 games in a row. They win every other game. And they're consistently good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not great.
Mm-hmm.
So having those talismanic players that can come in and win you games, that's what turns teams from good to great.
Yeah.
And FC Cincinnati is a couple of those.
Yeah. Acosta is definitely on that upper echelon of player, though.
Oh, he's going to go down as one of the best 10s in MLS history.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. All right. Awesome. And now we've covered all.
That is
the end of our why. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here, and we'll be right back, guys.
It's the football.
And we're back here for a second part as Sandy's coming down to us here. But we're back, man. So there's a lot that happened. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but coach being fired and hired. If I was a coach, I'd rather be fired like 2 times every season.
Yeah, then he wouldn't get a job.
I mean, if I do that,
it's a fine line.
Think about it. If I do that for 3 years, I've literally got income for about 9 to 10 years. You know.
It would be a hard thing for 3 years.
It's all about man. It's all about math. You gotta know how to mess up and when to mess up to get fired. No.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah. But speaking of messing up,
so the New York Rebels. So let's start with them. What happened?
So this is one that kind of gets my blood going. Gerhard Struber is out, right? Something we talked about wanting and all that because of the way he really mishandled a racial incident in a game against San Jose, where Dante Van Zier said a racial slur, which actually I don't think we spoke about on this show. It came out that he called a player a monkey. Then later tried to walk it back by saying he didn't know what it meant and he thought it was the same thing as calling someone a clown. I find it very hard to believe that a Belgian doesn't know the racial connotation of calling someone a monkey when Belgian fans have been seen throwing bananas at players of color. So I just don't buy that in him and his excuse, and it's a sorry excuse, but it's what he stuck with. He decided it's gonna work.
It's what he's stuck by. There's no other explanation but the fact that he's stuck by it.
And Gerhard Struber decided to stick by him.
Yeah.
And fans were calling for him to get fired, and he got fired. Now the frustrating thing here that makes my blood boil is when he got fired, it was very clear he got fired because of performances, right? Like, the New York are horrible this year, right? They should be one of the best teams in the league. They're one of the worst, right? So I was thinking, when he gets fired, it's going to be because of performances, but they're going to be able to kind of back it up by saying like, oh, well, he mishandled this situation. We can't allow this type of racism in the club, so we parted ways with him, right? No. New York decided we're going to double down and release a statement that specifically said his handling of the situation in the incident against San Jose had no part in his dismissal. So they pretty much said the fact that he is racist, no, we didn't fire him. That's not why. I just want to make it very clear that we didn't fire him because he's racist. We fired him for a completely different reason. Like, why say that?
The way you put it, though, I think if I'm you, I'm reading it as far as like they want the public to know, hey, this was strictly performance. We didn't have any bias.
No, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Yeah.
They then went on to say that it's not actually a firing. They mutually decided to separate. And that Gerhard Struber told them before the season was over that this will be his last season. And he misses home and wants to go back to Europe. And then he decided last week that, he's done here. So it was them mutually deciding to separate.
So conveniently after everything happened, this man is like, yeah, I'm
The only explanation is for this that the Red Bull organization, right? Energy Drink Soccer. And they own 2 other clubs in Europe, in Salzburg and somewhere in Austria. But teams in Austrian Premier League and the Bundesliga, the German Premier League. The only explanation here is that they don't want to damage Gerhard Struber's reputation because they are going to want him to join one of their other franchises, right? One of their European-based franchises, so he's closer to home. So they're trying to downplay what really happened here. Yeah. Which is just sick, right? Like
they're totally PR.
Yeah, making it a business, and it's just sick. Yeah. So I don't support that. If I was a Red Bulls fan, I'd be very upset with them going out of their way to try to protect this man. Yeah. Who went out of his way to protect someone that doesn't deserve to get protected. Yeah. So no, I don't support that. I support him being gone. Don't like that they made the statement to specifically say that it's not because of racism, it's not because of bad performances, it's just because he's homesick. Yeah. And you know what, conveniently we have other teams that we may get him on. So man, I think when this started, I told you that the outcome of this wasn't going to be something I put too much of my time and soul in trying to figure out what will happen, because there was going to be some dumb thing happening, and it's happening. Yeah. But on the bright side, we don't have to talk about Gerhard Struber again this season. Good. So that's done. And we get to talk about Troy Lesesne, who was their assistant coach and is promoted up to head coach. Yeah. And they have given him the interim status through the season. Yeah. Which you don't see often, although we will see it in the next team we cover, Chicago. So very rare to see a team or an interim coach get this much leeway, especially when the European seasons are just about to end and there will be European-based coaches that you could potentially bring in. Mm-hmm. So this would be a weird thing to be able to hold on to an interim coach through the year. But they gave Troy Lesesne the leeway, the leash here. And the interesting thing here is Troy Lesesne's path to becoming an assistant coach at New York Red Bulls. He was in the USL, a head coach and GM. So another one of those rare double duty positions that holds a lot more respect than just being a coach, right? The Peter Vermees level of coach, right? Where you aren't just responsible for what's happening on the field game day, but you're also responsible for the players that come in and all things soccer, right? So he was that at New Mexico United, and he decided to step away from that to be an assistant coach in New York. You don't see that, right? Yes, you're going to a higher league, a league higher, you're going to MLS, but that's such a big step down on the coaching pole, like totem pole. Yeah. That it's just, you don't see it unless he was probably assured that Gerhard's going to go to Europe at some point. Mm-hmm. We see him moving on to a different team at a higher level for us in the Red Bull organization. And when he goes in a year or two, you're going to be the head coach, right? So I'm very certain deep down inside that was a conversation had. He's just getting it a little bit earlier because of everything we talked about earlier in this pod. But he definitely deserves it, right? Like what he's done at New Mexico United, started the club, what we've seen him do at other teams like Charleston Battery, the Charlotte Independence as assistant coaches. Like he has done his dues, and he deserves to be a head coach in MLS. Yeah. And I'm excited to see what his career happens. And his first 2 games were wins. So well done. Yeah. Don't think they've played yet tonight, so we don't know what their third game is. Yeah. We should hit the conspiracy alert with that, huh? I mean, yeah, it's a little fishy. Yeah, it's conspiracy alert. All right. Let's not stay too long with that. So kudos on that. All right, so we covered New York Red Bulls, and now we're gonna go to our friends that we were just talking about earlier on the show. The team that owns St. Louis, none other than Chicago Fire. Yeah. They've decided to part ways with head coach Ezra Hendrickson. Ezra, former player in the league, former assistant coach with the Seattle Sounders, very well-respected individual inside of the MLS system. They have let him go. And okay, yes, Chicago have been bad. Chicago, like we said before, have been bad for a very long time before he came in. They're going to continue to be bad for a while, right? But I saw things under Hendrickson where they had the lead in multiple games. And okay, it would be a late goal and they'd get the tie. But we didn't see them get the lead in seasons past, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing them perform. We're seeing them score. We're seeing them do things against really good teams in this league under him. And it's baby steps, right?
Yeah.
When you are as bad as Chicago has been, you can't expect leaps and bounds. It's baby steps. You got to trust the process.
Process. Yeah.
And the process, the eye test, it was there. He looked like he was doing the right things, and they fired him.
I was gonna say though, like I was gonna ask, not say, but ask is like, because I was in the same mindset, and my question really became, what was the expectation, and why was he fired? Like, what was, because we came out when the season, our first show, we talked about Chicago. There were certain games that they won this year that we were like, oh, Chicago won, but we just kept talking.
No, yeah, like they've got
because they're Chicago, but they were, I don't know, what was the expectation there?
It shouldn't have been much. I don't think it is much. And they're still.
Then what fire him?
Yeah, I don't know, but Frank Klopas.
Did you want to lose money?
I don't know.
All right,
but Frank Klopas takes over. This is his third or fourth time being the interim coach for Chicago, because they keep firing people and then hiring people, but they need someone in that interim spot. So at this point, why not just give the guy the job forever, right? Like, if you're going to keep firing people, why not just give him the spot?
Yeah.
So I don't get that. Again, they've given him the interim tag through the season. So I don't know. Everything here just says to me, poorly ran club, right?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
None of it.
Because they should have just say, let's keep everything and let's just hit the reset button. We can reevaluate at the end of the season.
Yeah,
because now they created a mess. This is a mess.
Chicago.
The best way to handle it. Yeah, the best way to handle this was just through it. Sometimes you just go through it. But all right, so we've talked about Chicago. There's some good news with the men's U.S. national team. You want a drum roll?
There is
some good news.
So I do think you're slightly overhyping this.
I ain't overhyping this.
But
first of all, I don't think I'm overhyping this. There was a nice hire and a great player commitment.
Yes, but it's not the higher one. So Oguchi Onyewu has been named as, and this is where I want to get into this, he has been named as Vice President of Sporting. I feel like there's a word missing there. Sporting Operations, Vice President of Sporting Integrity. Like, there needs to be another word.
Give him a spot.
Vice President of Sporting. Sporting what?
Supports.
Sporting a nice jacket? Like, what is he sporting?
Sporting team.
But, that's cringe. It sounds very European, and they didn't hit it right. Like, maybe Vice President of Sport, but then again, you're the U.S. Men's national team, so it's only one sport. So, why not just call him the Vice President of Soccer? Maybe that would be a good one. But also, under this, he now reports to, and by the way, this is a brand new position that they have created.
Yeah.
It's kind of combined into other positions. But now he reports to Matt Crocker, who is the sporting director. Now, I don't know about you, but in any business I've worked for, in any business I've ever heard of, there's tiers, right? And rankings. And it goes, CEO, CFOs, all those C levels. You got the president, the vice president, and then you have director, right? And then you have managers, and you have those tiers, right? But vice president is always higher than director. Not with the U.S. men's national team, because apparently the vice president of sporting reports to the sporting director. Why?
Maybe they're counting him as like the second in charge.
But shouldn't Matt Crocker be called the president of sporting?
Yeah.
It's weird to me that the boss is the director and the subordinate is the vice president. It just doesn't add up.
We don't try to make sense of this.
It doesn't add up. I don't support it. I support Oguchi Onyewu, who, by the way, I was playing, I think it's like the 5-second rule with my girlfriend, and it's a game in which you are given a question and you have to answer by giving 5 examples that answer that question in 30 seconds. And one was names that start with O. Oguchi Onyewu got 2 of those O names for me out the gate. Helping out. So I will always be appreciative of Oguchi Onyewu. I don't know why when it said names that start with O, I just immediately brought Oguchi Onyewu.
and you could Google it too.
So yeah, there's that. But no, it is a step, as much joking as we made, it is a step in the right direction, because we are naming people in positions. I don't know what the positions are, but and then his role here, he will work directly with Matt Crocker to appoint a new head coach, and that is ultimately what we want. We want to know who will be coaching this team in the summer and in the future, right? And whoever it is,
Ezra Hendrickson,
probably not. Whoever it is will have an absolute gem playing at the 9 role for them, because one Foreign Balogun has committed to the U.S. He has filed his one-time change of nationality request with FIFA. FIFA has approved it. So now he is, in the eyes of FIFA, an American. He cannot play for England. He cannot play for Nigeria. He can only play for England, or for the U.S., right? So now it's up to the U.S.'s decision to bring him in, whether you want to bring him onto rosters, give him minutes, but no other country can bring him into their squad. So he is American, sealed, delivered, 100%, and he is currently a top 5 goal scorer in a top 5 league, right, in the world, and he's 21 years old. This is someone, right? This is someone that's scoring more than Messi in the same league as Messi.
Yeah.
This is someone that is right up there with Neymar, in the same league as Neymar, and Mbappe, right? Like, literally right at the same level of goals scored this season, playing in the same league against the same competition as them. And we're talking about 3 of the best players in the world, right? This is a man that will become a talismanic player for this U.S. men's national team. He will eventually probably become a starter for Arsenal. It is going to be incredible to watch him play. We actually have tickets to the Gold Cup this summer, so hopefully he gets called in for that, and hopefully we'll be able to see him play some of his first games. But no, I'm excited. When I watch him live or I watch him on TV, he is the biggest multinational player to convert to the U.S. that we've ever had. This is bigger than Yunus Musa, right? Like, this is bigger than Tyler Adams. This is the most important multinational player to declare for the U.S. Bigger than Tim Howard. Like, this is massive. And I can't wait to see him play. Just want us to have a head coach. I just want there to be a skipper for it.
Let's hope for that. That was a lot of big name dropping right there.
Yes, sir, and none bigger than Balogun.
All right. Hey,
oh man, I'm hyped.
I have nothing else to say. You cut the promo right there. See you in a World Cup. We done.
I'm ready.
You cut the whole promo right there. They got to use that to introduce him whenever they introduce him. You just use everything you say it.
Yeah, and I can't mic drop right now because it's on a stand, but I can.
Well done, sir. Well done. I'm for the first time ever. I'm proud. I'm proud. I'm truly proud. All right. Awesome. That does it for our second part. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to finish up the show.
It's the football
We are
prophets.
back for a third part here. We almost didn't come back because we're about to become inventors. We're just going to leave the podcast game and just go be inventors.
We decided that we were going to change the record time of our podcast, and Michelle decided that we're brilliant for deciding that, and that we need to invent things. And his first pitch to me was a watch that washes dishes.
Yes. Because it's by your hand. So you don't actually do the work.
But you still got to be stood up next to it.
You can bring a nice stool and sit. A nice tall stool and a chair.
We'll workshop it. We'll figure this out.
Alright, cool. So by the time we're doing that, let's talk about the US Open Cup. So New England, I think did I say New England was gonna win?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That would have been a very bold prediction of you.
And you know I make safe prediction. Gotta keep it safe. But alright, so New England falls to Pittsburg at home. 1-0.
It's the River Hounds.
Yeah.
So the thing here is, this isn't Bruce Arena's first time losing in an Open Cup to a lower division team. I believe it's his fourth. The first three have all been to one team and one coach, whose name is escaping me right now. It's like the Railhawks. Yeah, Railhawks, right? And it got so bad when he had to play the Railhawks in USL that after 2 defeats to the Railhawks, the third time he had to go and play them, he didn't travel. He let his assistant coach handle it. He decided, I'm not going there. Like, I'm not getting. They ended up calling it being Railhawked. So I'm long term. So Bruce Arena decided, I'm not getting Railhawked. So he sent his team out to play without him, and then they got Railhawked again. But so this is a trend. I don't know what it is about Bruce Arena, but he does not do well against USL teams in the US Open Cup. But he has lost to the Pittsburgh River Hounds. I was about to call them the Pittsburgh Railhawks. Might as well. The Pittsburgh Railhawks. They have earned it. 1-0, and New England is out. The thing I watch the Open Cup for the most, especially earlier rounds, are upsets. What I like to call cupsets, right? We don't have many opportunities for it at this point. So to see the River Hounds do it against a good New England team just makes me happy. It's my thing. I love this. I love watching MLS teams fall to teams that other people have never heard of before. I love it, and they did it in New England. I support this.
Yeah.
So well done, River Hounds, and we will see you next round.
Can I tell you something? I just never loved New England, like the city. Every time they would lose something.
Boston in general?
All of them.
All of New England. So the whole eastern coast.
Might as well.
Okay.
Might as well. All of them out there. I just, every time they lose at something, I smile a little bit.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's why I'm smiling. All right.
Shay hates the eastern seaboard. All right. Moving on then.
Nothing is west all the way, but all right, cool. So let's move on here with the game of the round. So we got Minnesota beat Philly, right?
Yes. That was a thriller of a game. 3-3. Literally the first goal of that game happened in the 73rd minute, and then you got 6 of them.
Just
right?
Go.
And then it went to penalties, and we got round after round of penalty.
Yeah.
And it was 7-6 on penalties.
Yeah.
Minnesota. The thing here is that's a little concerning if you're Philadelphia. Minnesota have not been able to score this season.
Yes.
So they put 3 goals on you. And then you couldn't beat them in penalties.
Yeah.
You have one of the best goalkeepers in the league in Andre Blake, one of the best penalty saving goalkeepers in the league in Andre Blake. You have now lost your last 2 penalty shootouts. The first one was MLS Cup to LA Galaxy, or LAFC. But now this one. For a team that has the best penalty shot saver, they definitely don't have a lot of penalty converters. So
we don't got to make it.
It's a little concerning if I was Philadelphia to have one of the best PK goalkeepers and lose back-to-back PK shootouts.
We don't got to make them. Just save them all.
Well, apparently, I think you have to make them.
Save them all. We'll just 0-0 this thing until the refs get tired.
Minnesota now, I think they can go on. Them and Columbus are probably going to be my 2 favorites to win the cup.
Yeah.
So I see one of those 2 teams going for it.
So are we gonna get a serious? They're still trying to get the CONCACAF. So
No, Philadelphia though, they got knocked out now.
Oh, they got knocked. Oh, so this was
AFC.
Oh yeah.
This was their time to take it seriously.
Yeah. So now okay. So you think we're gonna see them bounce back?
I do. I see them doing very well in the regular season here. They don't have the Open Cup. They don't have the Champions League. They just have league right now. And I see them just killing it.
They got to make it up to us, though, the fans. Cause
they will. They're going to be just fine. Trust me.
So what's your expectation from Minnesota now that apparently they've magically remembered how to score goals?
Hlongwane. I'm not even... I'll try the first name. Bangakuli Hlongwane. He has actually been on a bit of a scoring tear as far as scoring tears go in Minnesota. He might be their 9 solution, although Emmanuel Reynoso has been cleared by MLS now to continue practicing and playing for Minnesota. So the player that was gone just decided he wasn't going to come back. Since he just dipped on the league, the league decided they were going to suspend him, and then he decides to come back to the team, and then literally immediately after coming back to the team, the league's like, he's not suspended anymore, which really makes you think, was it really a suspension? If the second he decides to come back, you decide he's allowed to play? Like, that's not a suspension. That's like telling a kid, you got to go to your room, you're in timeout, but it's 12 o'clock at night and it's their bedtime. Like, it's not really a punishment.
You can afford to be.
So, yeah. So, but Reynoso, we might see him come back. And at this point in the season, if he can get right with his teammates and they can forgive him for dipping on them in the first part of this season, it'll be like a new signing. And they're already a team that's doing okay, right? They're advancing deep into the Open Cup. They're in a decent spot in league. If you have Reynoso come back and be the level of player we've seen him be, which is arguably a top 5 player in this league, dangerous, man. This could be a really good team, especially if Hlongwane continues to produce. Like, this could be the start of something really special for Minnesota.
I like everything you said.
And with that, we now have a final 16 teams in the U.S. Open Cup. So we were at the round of 16. And there's a couple exciting matchups here. Most prominently, when you look at it, your eye gets immediately drawn to LAFC versus LA Galaxy and El Tráfico in the Open Cup. That only has one winner.
We know how it's going to end.
That has one winner.
Yeah, we know how it's going to end.
But Inter Miami Nashville, that's an interesting one. Red Bull Cincinnati is the interesting one just because Cincinnati does not need to win this tournament. New York needs to do well. So, yes, Cincinnati should mop the floor with them, but who knows?
Yeah. I think Cincinnati's been playing like their bench player in most of the U.S. Open. So, yeah.
And then another one that I think is going to be really interesting is Colorado RSL. You have 2, in my mind, evenly matched teams there. Not the 2 highest teams in the league, right? But 2 okay teams.
Yeah.
that are both pretty good defensively, well-organized teams, well-coached teams coming up, and they both need to do well in this tournament. So that's going to be an interesting one. And then Columbus, who have just been killing it in this tournament thus far and have clearly said we are taking this seriously. They're playing a USL team. The only USL team, one of two USL teams left in this tournament. So the fact that they're on a roll right now, they're getting the easiest team in the tournament, should help them advance, right? As long as they don't mess it up. It's not going to be a fact that Riverhounds beat them. They will beat themselves, right? Like if they lose this, it is because of Columbus and nobody else. So this is a very good pathway forward for Columbus to continue their winning streak and potentially lift a trophy here. So I like I said, for me, it's Columbus and Minnesota here.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I want to see. I don't even even Nashville. I don't want to see them hold this up.
I'd be okay with seeing Mukhtar lift a trophy, but I don't want them to win this. I want them to go for the supporter shield. I want them to become the best team in the league.
So I'm thinking about in a way, like, what does that does for them? Nothing really. It's just going to be one nice celebration and back to work. But Minnesota wins this, it's going to be a party. Columbus.
I think this will be really good, and it'd be for Columbus. It would be Victor Nancy coming into the team in his first year and winning a trophy. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm hyped. I if I had to pick a team here between Minnesota and Columbus, I'm going Columbus all the way. So you heard it here first. Columbus, U.S. Open Cup winners.
Let's do it. All right, Coach. That concludes our show. Thank you so much for being with us here and listening to us. You can reach us at Gmail to our email, which is prophetspot@gmail.com. You can reach us on Twitter, which is @prophetspot, and you can listen to us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. We're happy you're here. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it, and also tell a friend who knows a friend who's going to tell another friend that we exist.
You know what? That hasn't been enough for us.
Right.
So you're going to tell another friend
that knows 10 other friends.
We're not getting the views I want. So my only conclusion here is that y'all aren't popular enough. So you need to go out and make new friends and then tell a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
So do your job. We're doing ours. And do better.
Go make friends, guys. Don't be like David. All right. Don't be like him. All right. Coach,
I can count my friends on one hand. I don't even gotta use all 5 fingers.
I don't even need a hand. I need it. It's all mental for me. All right, bro. Hey, I appreciate it. We'll see y'all next time.
Good stuff.